Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today, April 16th, 2025, is my 10-year anniversary of when I posted my very first BookTube video. I cannot believe it has been 10 years. It definitely does not feel that way. And since going back and watching some of my older videos, it's been very interesting and definitely interesting seeing my different setups in my different homes. Since we are military, we move around. So yeah, it was kind of fun to do that, but definitely a lot has changed in the past 10 years for sure. So for today, I am going to do a Q&A. You guys have been sending me questions. I have 3 pages of questions, you guys. I was like, whoa. Some of them are repeats, so that's nice. And I'm going to answer all of them. So bear with me. I'm going to try to keep it as concise as I can, just so that we can get through all of them in a timely manner, so I don't have you here for too long. But I'm very excited to answer these. And yeah, I haven't looked at them since I put this document together. So, all right. Are we ready? We're ready. Okay. How has your channel impacted you as a reader? Now, this is interesting because when I started my BookTube channel, I was a reader. However, it wasn't a habit, and I wasn't reading, hundreds of books every year. I wasn't doing that at all. I was reading maybe like a good year would be 20 at the most would be a good reading year for me. And this was also a time when my children were younger. I think Layla, who's my youngest, was starting preschool when I started my BookTube channel. So my kids were younger for sure. And I was starting to kind of get back into the habit of reading in general anyway, because I was finding a little bit more time to myself, and, my kids didn't need me quite as much as they did when they were itty bitty. So I was kind of starting to feel that craving for reading again on a daily basis anyway. And then I found BookTube and I was like, oh, well, this is it. Here we are. This is what's happening. And since I started my channel, I have been reading so much. So it really got me back into it. And when I look back at my journal that I keep of every book that I've read every year, I just write them in with their ratings. I could tell when I started my BookTube channel because it really just kind of skyrocketed. So very happy about that. So it's definitely starting my channel got me back into the habit of reading as a daily practice. So very grateful for that. Okay. Do you still plan to get a job as a librarian or work in a bookstore again? Yes, I would love to. The challenge I am facing right now is that I live in a small town and there are libraries here. There are a couple of public libraries. There's a university library. There are school libraries. And I've applied to a couple of them. I've actually had a couple of job interviews, but I didn't get the job. So that's what I'm facing right now. And here it's library or nothing because there are no bookstores where I live. So, working at a bookstore right now is not an option for me. So it would need to be a library, which is definitely where I prefer to be anyway. But yeah. So I've applied and not gotten anything. And I'm still looking though. I'm checking every week to see if anything's been posted, and it's been probably 3 or 4 months since anything was even available. So that's kind of the challenge I'm in right now. Being in a small town, jobs are a little harder to come by. So, but I'm still looking, but that is the plan. We'll see if that can happen here, or it might have to be where we go next. I'm not sure. But I am still looking. Okay. Have you always been a reader? And if not, why and what age got you started? Okay. This was a repeat. I've always been a reader. My mom was a big reader. And so I grew up watching her read, and she definitely got me into books and reading and stuff. And she even said, even as a toddler, I was always carrying around like a board book or something. So I was always kind of flipping through, and I loved being told stories and all that. Definitely a big reader in middle school for sure. Kind of phased out a little bit in high school and some college, and then got back into it. Actually, after I got married, I got back into reading a little bit more. But yeah, so always been a reader. Okay, how long can you stay in one state being in the military? That depends. It depends on the job that the active duty member has. Different jobs will have different requirements for how long they stay in one position or at one base. So it just depends. My husband is currently in a situation right now where we're kind of staying places 2 to 3 years at the most. So that's kind of the trajectory he's on right now. And it is because he is in leadership positions now. So they tend to go a little bit faster, have more of a turnover. You kind of stay somewhere, 2 to 3 years, and then you move on to another different type of leadership position, usually at a different base. So they like to shuffle you around a lot. So that's just our personal situation currently. So we'll see. Okay. How did you learn to edit your videos, and what is the best editing software? I do not know what the best editing software is. I just know what I use, and I use an Apple computer. So I just use iMovie, and that's what I've used from the beginning. And as far as learning how to edit, I just watched tutorials and just kind of saw some tips and tricks of whatever editing software I was using, which happens to be iMovie, and that's it. And now I know it, and I kind of can do it with my eyes closed, so I don't want to like upgrade or do anything like that right now because it's working for me. So yeah, but that's just personally what I use. I know there's a whole bunch of different ones out there. You can pay for some. There's like pro stuff, and I just, I'm keeping it simple. So okay, what is your favorite activity to do with each of your kids? I thought that was a cool question. Well, Layla, who's my 13-year-old, we are both into K-pop, so that's what we do together. We listen to K-pop, we watch videos, we get excited when albums drop, we get excited when there's news about stuff, we share things all the time, we're constantly sending each other like videos and stuff, like memes and everything. So that's what we do together. My older daughter, Kaylin, she is still kind of a reader. She reads more manga than anything, which I'm not into manga. But I definitely have noticed that she's starting to gear a little bit more towards novels, and she's kind of shopping my shelves a little bit. So we've been talking about books a lot and stuff like that. So, and whenever I'm reading a book, she always asks me what it is and if it's good, especially if it's a fantasy book. That's what she's into. So yeah. So a little bit of that with Kaylin. And she's my 17-year-old. Okay. What is your favorite location you lived in so far? This one's asked a few times. And I have kind of two answers. Here's why. My first answer is Florida, because we were stationed there for 2 years. We lived back in Florida for 2 years, but we lived in my hometown because that's where the base was. So I was very happy because I was right down the street from my parents. My sister was literally right around the corner from me. Like, that's home, and that's where we want to retire. So that to me and to Josh is home. However, I feel like that's cheating because of course that's going to be our favorite place, right? So non-Florida locations, our favorite has been Tucson, Arizona. I loved Tucson. It was beautiful and there was so much to do. But we weren't living in the middle of downtown or anything like that. So we were far enough away where we felt like we were in the suburbs almost, but we could easily get to downtown and it wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't too crowded. There's a lot to do. We had some really, really great friends, and I would move back there in a heartbeat. So Tucson, Arizona was our favorite. Okay. How has your reading changed, if at all, over the last 10 years? It's definitely changed, especially looking back and seeing some of the books I was reading in the beginning of my channel. I think I was still kind of trying to find my genre or my preferences when I first started my channel. Now I know my preferences 100%. And even those have changed. I would say over the last 10 years, before I would have said my favorite genre was just like general fiction. Like Jodi Picoult was a big author for me back then. Danielle Steele was a big author for me back then. That woman is still writing books. I just saw a new release at Walmart. I was like, what is happening? So that was the kind of books I was reading more. And then I started getting into mystery thrillers. Gone Girl completely changed the way I read books because I wanted more of that. And then I got so much into those that I considered mystery thrillers my preference, like my favorite genre. I would have said that. Now, I'm full on into fantasy. I still love general fiction and thrillers, obviously. I read from every genre, basically. But fantasy, when I pick those up, those are the ones that I get so into it and I'm so involved and I'm just completely captivated. Those are the books that are doing it for me right now. So I think it kind of ebbs and flows, I think, just over time in general. And I could ebb and flow back, to mystery thrillers to be my favorite or to, literary becoming my favorite again. You never know. So, but right now I'm all about fantasy. Like that's kind of all I want to read. Okay. What is your favorite book series besides Harry Potter? Because I was going to say Harry Potter. My favorite book series besides Harry Potter, Fourth Wing, hands down. You all know my whole story with Fourth Wing and all the releases and all that, why that's so special to me. Plus, I genuinely love the books. Okay. I have thoughts on Daniel Green. Okay. Daniel Green, I had to look this up when I got this question because I was like, what did Daniel Green do? I know who he is. I know that he is a booktuber. I know that he is an author. He's big into the fantasy stuff. He writes fantasy. He has written a fantasy book. I think he's only written one. And he's big on fantasy news and, stuff like that. That's the type of channel that he is. So I was wondering about that because I was like, just in general, or did he do something? He did something. Apparently, he has been accused of sexual assault. I didn't look fully into all the charges. I think rape might have been on there as well. So I don't know enough about him to really have an opinion. But if there's accusations, then obviously there's going to be some stuff happening with that and investigations and everything. And I hope that whatever the truth comes out. And if he did it, then bye. So there's that. Okay, those are all my thoughts. I don't really have a firm opinion, and I had to look up what it was because I wasn't sure. Okay, what books would you recommend to your daughters at the age they are now? For Kaylin, my 17-year-old, I'm trying to get her to read Scythe so bad. Like, so bad. I'm trying to get her to read Scythe because, that book is so good. That is a finished series that I did read all of. I haven't read the novellas yet, but The Toll was just okay for me. So I guess I wouldn't consider that a favorite series. But Scythe, oh my gosh, yes, please. I'm trying to get her to read that. She's interested, but not enough to pick it up yet. And then for Layla, my 13-year-old, she does have some of the Twisted Tales series where it's the fairy tale, like the Disney, tales, but they're twisted. She has a lot of those on her shelf right now, and she hasn't picked one up yet. So I haven't either, in all honesty, and I do want to give those a try. But I would probably, pick like her favorite Disney movie growing up and tell her to read that one. So she's not much of a reader. Still trying to work on that with her. Okay, favorite dog this week, Savannah or Bruce? This is from Jen. She's like, I was just kidding. I'm like, oh no, I'm putting that in there. So favorite dog this week. This week, I'm going to say Savannah this week. She's been a little bit more calm, listening a little bit easier. Bruce is stubborn. I mean, Savannah is too. She's a bulldog. She's stubborn, but she's been a little, she means business. So, and listening a little faster than Bruce does. Bruce is like, you mean what? So we'll say Savannah this week. Next week, it'll probably be Bruce. Okay. What do you do with your completed reading journals? I keep them. Right now they live in my closet, but eventually when I have my library in our retirement home, when we decide to retire and have our forever home, I'm going to have a library in it, and I would like at least one shelf for all my reading journals. So I do keep them. They're just kind of stored away right now, but I keep them. How do you keep track of the books you own? I do that two ways. One on Goodreads. So I have a shelf on Goodreads for my owned books, my physically owned books, and they're, I hope, all on there. I try really hard to keep that current. And then I do have a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet that I keep all of them on in alphabetical order. That way, when I'm out and shopping and stuff, if I have a question on whether or not I own one of these books, I can look it up on my phone easily. And it helps me with the number as well. A little bit better than Goodreads. Goodreads can sometimes be a little bit off. It's weird. So I don't trust Goodreads as much as I trust my Excel spreadsheet. And anytime I buy a book, I add it on there. And then when I read a book, when I'm doing my end of the month, like I've already read everything for the month, I move them from the column or whatever. So yeah, that's how I keep track of all the books that I own. So spreadsheets. Okay. How and when did you get together with the BookTube besties? So I met Lindsay first. We connected through scrapbooking and then books. And I don't remember exactly how we started messaging each other. I feel like maybe she recommended a book to me and then I read it and then we started like talking. I think that might've been what it was. And we connected like instantly. And then with Krista, we ended up buddy reading a book together. Oh, we did, there was a readathon that was called the Buddyathon, I think is what it was called, where it was all about buddy reading and it was a readathon. And so Krista and I, one of us reached out to the other one. I don't remember who it was, but it was like, do you want to do this together? And we did. And we buddy read a book together and then we never stopped talking. So that's what it was. And then Lindsay started doing the Book List Thursday with me and Lisa. When Lisa and I had started it, we brought in Lindsay a couple times as a guest. And then when Lisa stopped making videos, it was just me and Lindsay and we kept going. And then doing the Christmas Book Exchange, Krista jumped in on one of those years. And then we all know how Christmas Book Exchange goes now. And then with Amanda, I'm pretty sure I connected with Amanda through Krista because they were doing like all the middle grade stuff. And then Amanda and I buddy read Beartown together. We decided to do that. And then eventually we all just became one big chat and that's how it is. And then we got together. Wow. I had to do way too much math just now. Okay. 2021 was the first year we got together because I was in Virginia already. And that was the first year. And Krista and I drove to North Carolina. So that's what it was. So 2021 was the first year we got together and we just decided, we are best friends and why aren't we meeting in person? So we fixed that real quick. And, we've gone once a year ever since. So, yep. Okay. Let's see, where was I? Okay. What are some of your favorite romantic love stories? What are some of your favorite romantic couples in books? Okay. Romantic love stories. I do read romance books. I really enjoy them a lot. I like romance books that, number one, are funny and can make me laugh and also could kind of tackle a serious topic as well. So it's not just fluff. I don't want just fluff. I want a romance book that makes me swoon, but also makes me think and also makes me kind of like gut punch a little bit. That's why Abby Jimenez is so perfect for me. Emily Henry is the same way as well. She can really make me laugh, but she also has some stuff in there that's pretty serious. So, favorite romantic couples? Oh gosh. Well, the couple in Abby's new book, Xavier and Samantha, are amazing. And I really liked the couple in Beach Read as well by Emily Henry. Don't ask me their names. It's been a very long time since I read that. Definitely Fourth Wing with Violet and Xaden, obviously. Those are the ones that are sticking out in my head. And then Feyre and Rhysand, obviously. So like, those are obvious answers, but they're obvious for a reason, right? They're obvious for a reason. Okay. What is the bookmark you use the most? It's in my current book. Hang on, let me go get it. Okay, I'm currently reading The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah, but along with my tabs that I use because I'm tabbing it, so I do have my tabs in here, but the bookmark that I use the most is Hyunjin from Stray Kids. It's fine. This is perfectly normal behavior. I have other bookmarks, but that's the one I use more often than anything. Okay. What book releases are you excited about in 2025? So many. I do seasonal most anticipated, so I have 2 of those up already. I'll leave them linked down below if you want to check them out if you haven't yet. But my biggest ones, definitely Taylor Jenkins Reid, Abby Jimenez, which I've already read and absolutely loved, and Ashley Winstead's new book, which I read and absolutely loved. Those 3 were like huge, huge, huge for me. Frederick Bachman has another one coming out soon. Definitely excited for that one. S.A. Cosby has a new one coming out soon. And I'm very excited to read Amelia Hart's new book. Also, Callie Hart has the sequel to Quicksilver that comes out in November. Very excited to pick that one up when it's available. Those are the ones just off the top of my head right this second. I know there's more. I know that there is. So those are just some that I'm really excited about. There's a lot coming out, especially in June. Oh my gosh, June is a big month. V.E. Schwab's new book. Oh my gosh, V.E. Schwab's new book. Yeah, so there's a lot coming out, but I do seasonal most anticipated releases. So yeah. Okay, what is your dream travel destination? Italy. If I could go anywhere in the world, like right now, and money wasn't an issue, it would be Italy. I would go there. I would eat all the pasta and drink all the wine and not apologize for any of it. That's what I would do. It also looks very beautiful, but pasta and wine, yes, please. Okay, another one that was asked quite a few times is, are you still scrapbooking? Yes. So one of my earliest hobbies after I got married was scrapbooking. And I have done it ever since. We've been married for 22 years now. And I literally started probably 6 months after we got married. So yes, I am still scrapbooking. However, it is not a habit. And that's something I'm working on. I have a lot of projects that are ongoing. I have a lot of projects I want to start that I could finish. For example, we've been to New York Comic Con a few times now. I would like to document those. My BookTube besties trips, I have not documented those yet. I've kept like all the memorabilia from everything, and I just need to actually like sit down and work on making pages and actually putting an album together and stuff. My girls have school albums that I need to catch up on. So yeah, I am. And it's definitely something that I struggle with making time for. Not that I don't have the time. It's just actually doing that during my free time. Right now, I'm just doing more reading than anything, which is fine. But that is something that I have thought a whole lot about even very recently. Like, I really want to get back to my scrap desk and start actually like putting some things together and actually finishing some projects. So yeah, I also have scrapbooks from each station where we are, just kind of like our everyday lives, and they're separated into where we were living at the time. So I need to finish my Rhode Island albums. I need to finish my Virginia albums. I need to start my Clovis albums. So it's like, it's a whole lot. So that is that question. Yes, I am scrapbooking, not as much as I would like to, and I want to get back to it as a hobby more often than I am. So, but yes, I am. Okay, if you could pick one author to write a book specifically for you, who would you choose? That's a great question. And then the second question is, if you could have dinner with one author, who would it be? If you could pick one author to write a book specifically for you, who would you choose? I feel like I'm going to say Abby Jimenez, because I feel like her most recent book was written for me because it was that perfect. It was that perfect. I feel like I would pick her because I feel like I could tell her exactly what I want and she would do it better than I could ever imagine. That's what I feel like. So Abby Jimenez, I would pick. If you could have dinner with one author, who would it be? I would have dinner with Brandon Sanderson because I watch a lot of his videos. He does a lot of like updates and a lot of things. And just, I really enjoy the way he talks to people and the information he shares. And he's very thorough and he's very kind. And he seems very smart. And I would just like to pick his brain a little bit because, I don't know, I think that would be an enjoyable time. So I would have dinner with Brandon Sanderson. Okay, do you enjoy moving around and experiencing new places, or would you rather settle down in one place? And where would you like to settle down? Okay, I do enjoy moving around. I don't like the process of moving. If we could just like skip all that, that'd be great. But I don't mind going to new places and experiencing new things for sure. I grew up that way. My dad was in the military, so literally I was born overseas, and I spent my entire childhood moving around the way that we do now. So I'm used to this easily. When I went to college, my dad retired and I went to college, and that was the first time I'd really like kind of settled somewhere for a little while. And I was there for 5 years. And then my husband said, "Hey, I'm going to join the Air Force." And I was like, "Cool, let's go. Let's go." So he did that before we got married. It was actually funny when he told me that he was enlisting. He got very nervous because he thought I was going to break up with him, because he knew that he would be moving away from Florida and he thought I would never leave. So I was like, "No, let's go. I'm packing right now. Let's go." So it was kind of funny. And then we got married 6 months later. So here we are. So no, I don't mind moving around. I don't like the actual process of moving. It's such a pain and very stressful. But yeah. Where would I like to settle down? We are going to settle down in Florida when when my husband retires. I keep saying we. When he retires, we will be moving to the Panhandle of Florida, to my hometown. So that's 100%. We know that for sure. Still a little while to go, but we know that. Okay. How are the puppies? Can we see them? Puppies are good. They're getting bigger for sure. They are still like, we're still kind of learning a little bit as far as like, what not to do. They are pretty quick learners, to be honest. But there's like something new to teach them every day because they managed to get into something we never thought they would get into. So it's just that kind of thing. But they are super sweet, super snuggly, and a lot of fun. Can we see them? Yeah, they're actually, they're sleeping on the couch right now. So I'll just take my camera in there and show you. There they are. Being lazies on the couch. Let me get a better angle, but yeah, there they are. There's a good angle. See if I can end that tongue, let me tell you. Oh, now we're awake. Yeah, awesome. Say hi. Everyone wants to see you. We are getting bigger, especially this guy. I can definitely tell he's bigger for sure. But yeah, no. Savannah, Bruce Wayne, they're doing real well. Okay, that's them. Okay, what book on your TBR are you most excited to read, and which are you least excited to read, and why? That's so interesting. Book on my TBR I'm most excited to read. Most excited to read. Oh gosh. Currently, I'm going to say Victoria Schwab's new book because I have an arc of it. So that's the one I'm most excited to read. I'm still waiting like one more month before I read it, just so I can, talk about it a little more fresh when it comes out in June. But I love her writing and I want to read more of her books. I feel like I have not read enough of hers. I've read some, but yeah, so that one I would say I'm the most excited to read. And the one I'm least excited to read, probably some sort of classic, just because classics are not my comfort zone. They don't always work for me and they're a little bit intimidating, but I still feel like I want to tackle some of them. So I guess the one I'm least excited to read, oh gosh, I don't know. They're all behind me. I should probably just turn around and take a look. Okay, I'm going to say Once an Eagle because it's this big. It's this big and it's war-centered, although I've heard it's amazing. So, but I think the size of it is definitely very, very much intimidating to me, and just that it's so war heavy, I'm a little like, So I think that's the one I'm least excited to read. Not that I don't want to, it's on my shelves and has stayed there. So like, yeah. So I'll say that one. Okay. Name your top 5 authors of all time. Are you guys trying to kill me? Okay. My number 1 favorite author is Stephen King. Abby Jimenez. Guys, this is hard. Sarah J. Maas. Ashley Winstead. I'm looking around like the books are going to give me the answer. I'm trying to think of people I've read to zero. I mean, Stephen King is not that. But that I've read a lot of books from, and I've always enjoyed them. Because I do have some authors that I've read a lot of books from, but I don't enjoy every single one. So it's kind of hit or miss type thing. So I don't know that I consider them a favorite. I'm mentally going through my shelves in my library right now. Kristen Hanna. All right, Kristen Hanna. All right. Stephen King, Abby Jimenez. Who else did I say? Ashley Winstead. Sarah J. Maas. Kristen Hanna. I would put Brandon Sanderson in there too. I need to read more of his books though. Of the ones I've read, but I still need to read more. But I feel like he would take a top 5 spot as well. That was hard. Let's do a different one. Okay. What advice would you give someone wanting to start a YouTube channel, and how does income work with YouTube? Okay. My best advice for wanting to start a YouTube channel is to just do it, because if you wait until you're ready, you're never going to start. You got to just take the plunge. Don't worry about the quality. Don't worry about the equipment. Don't worry about that. Just post something and put it up. And that's how you get started. That's the hardest step. It really, truly is. And think about why you want to start a YouTube channel, because if you do start one, it's going to be work, and you're going to have to make an effort into, making it something. So why do you want to do it, and go from there? And how does income work with YouTube? I can only speak to my own experience. Because I know there's different options right now with things, but income directly from YouTube comes from ads. And I know that you at least need to have 1,000 subscribers before you're eligible for that. And you can choose what kind of ad, not what kind of ads, but whether ads go up on your channel or not. You can choose to monetize your videos. And if you choose to do that, then that means ads will automatically be put in. I don't have control over what is shown or how long they are. I do control when they go up. So I can say only in the beginning. I could say skippable only. I can say in the middle of my videos. So if I don't click that, if you're not seeing ads in the middle of my videos, it's because I'd never click that box, because I hate ads in the middle of videos. I now have YouTube Premium, so I don't see ads anyway. But I used to hate that because it would interrupt it. So I hated it. So I don't want to make you guys do that. You know what I mean? So that is how YouTube pays you. It's all through ads and stuff. And that depends on the views. That depends on the engagement. So it could fluctuate however much you get paid. And you just get paid when you hit a certain amount, I believe, is when you get paid. So, yeah. So that's what it is. At least for me. I know there's memberships and everything now too, where people can make money. I just don't do that. Okay. What other hobbies do you have besides reading and scrapbooking? Which I've already talked about. I do cross stitch. It's been a very long time since I've done it. I am working currently on a Georgia Bulldogs, actually, really, really big cross stitching project that I worked on when I started when we were here last. And we moved away and lived in 3 different places. And now we're back and I'm still working on it, because I will put it down for 6 months and not think about it. And then I'll get the urge to pick it back up again and then work on it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'll put it down for like 6 months. I'm not kidding. That's why it's taking me forever to work on that. But when I do it, I enjoy it. So there's that. And that's kind of it. And then K-pop. K-pop is a hobby, let me tell you. Okay, does your whole family love to read? And what genres do they enjoy? Not my whole family. My husband does not read. If he reads anything, it's for work, and he is mad that he has to read for work. So he's not a reader. My older daughter, Kaylin, likes manga, and she does like novels, but they need to be fantasy. If it's not fantastical, she doesn't care. So fantasy books for her. And then my younger daughter, Layla, is not super into reading, but she kind of has like here and there stuff. She likes a little bit more kind of scary, borderline horror, I think, darker books. So she has like come home from book fairs with like, kind of the darker stuff. And I'm like, okay, cool. So there's that. And I think she would do, like, she has some fairy tale retellings on her shelf that she hasn't touched yet, but I think she would read those as well. So, okay, which fantasy world would you most like to live in or be a part of? Hogwarts, obviously. Obviously, I'm still waiting on my letter to Hogwarts. One day it's going to come. 1000%, that's my answer. And I know that that's a cop-out, but it is. Like, that's where I want to be. I want to go to Hogwarts. I want to go to the classes. I want to learn all the things. I want to go to a Quidditch game. I want to do all the things. I want to do all the things. Okay, you used to read more historical fiction. What changed to make it more seldom? I did used to read more historical fiction for sure. I think with historical fiction in particular, I do like them. But I think when I read a bunch, they start to blend together for me, especially if they're set around the same time period, which, World War II is a really big one, obviously. So I think with historical fiction, I need to kind of hone in on who my favorite authors are and just read those versus reading about the same type of historical events from different authors. Because I think that's what was kind of making me shy away from a little bit, because I'm like, okay, we're in this time period again. Or authors who tackle things that are very different that are not written by other authors. Like, that's why I like Ruta Sepetys so much. She writes historical fiction, but she writes about things that we've never heard of. Or they're set in different countries in World War II, but it's a different country. Like, I'm not reading about Germany, or, Italy or whatever. In World War II, it's different things, or France. So, I think that's kind of where I need to start going with historical fiction, is kind of honing in on who the authors are that I enjoy and just kind of sticking with them, versus getting into the genre so much that it's all kind of the same. And I've read a few historical fictions from kind of more popular authors who I didn't really like. So it's that type of thing. But yeah, I definitely don't read as much historical fiction as I used to, but I feel like I just kind of need to find my people with that. Okay, what made you want to start a YouTube channel? Well, I had a YouTube channel before this one that was scrapbooking. So I was already on YouTube, but I was doing scrapbooking process videos. And then when I discovered BookTube, I was like, I can do this. I already do YouTube videos. I know how to edit. I know how to do all this stuff. I could do this totally. And I love reading and I love books. And I, started watching a month after I discovered BookTube is when I started my channel. Cause I was like, I could do this. I just have to be in front of the camera versus the camera, over my desk type thing. And it's just my hands. So I just wanted to talk about books, and I was really starting to find my passion for books again. And I was like, I want to be part of the conversation. I want to be part of this community. And so I joined it. So that's what made me want to start. I was already on YouTube anyway, so I was a little bit more comfortable. I wasn't in front of the camera necessarily, but I was already used to talking to people that way. So yeah, it was a pretty easy transition for me. Okay, what video are you most proud of? Okay. Well, I did a video project that was a while ago that I think it was called 39 Before 40, where I read 39 books that were recommended to me within a year right before I turned 40. And it was all recommendations from my audience. So it was like the first 39 people that recommend a book to me that I haven't read yet is going on the list. And then after I hit 39, I cut it off. And I read them. I didn't do reading vlogs. I was not vlogging at the time, but I did do wrap-ups every quarter where I talked about, I think I did 12 books for each quarter, and the math worked out. I don't remember how it worked out, but it did. But I did it. I completed all of them, and I was really proud of that. I was very proud of that project where I was reading those books, and I read some of my favorite books. I read The Nightingale during that time. Someone recommended The Nightingale to me, and I hadn't read it yet. So, yeah, that's probably the one I'm most proud of. I mean, it was a series of videos, but that was a big project that I tackled, and I actually did it. Bigger projects can be hit or miss with me. Sometimes they work out, sometimes I give up, or, it becomes too much or whatever. But that one worked, and it stuck, and I did it. And I was very, very proud of myself for that. So, yeah, that's probably the video series or whatever I am the most proud of. I actually have a playlist for that. For all those videos, they're just wrap-ups, or I think it's announcing what the books are, and then there's wrap-up videos. So I'll leave that playlist linked down below if you guys want to see it, but I'm pretty sure I have that as a playlist. Have you digitally created a top favorite books of all time? No. No. It's kind of just in my head more than anything. So no, I have not documented my favorite books of all time. No, I have not. They're up here. Don't know how safe they are up there, but it's fine. What was the focus of your MLIS, which is a Master's in Library and Information Sciences, which I earned in 2020? It was general. It was just a general thing that you could go into specialties like school libraries. You could go into academic libraries. You could go into artifacts and law libraries and stuff. They need librarians, things like that. But mine, I just kept very general because ideally I would like to work in a public library. But I did take a couple of classes that could be beneficial for me to work in a school setting. So I could do that either at a university or with kids and stuff in schools. But those tend to be a little bit more specialized for sure, especially like college libraries. It's more research-based than anything. I prefer to stay on kind of like the fun reading type thing. But yeah, so I just kept mine general. I didn't have like a specific area where I wanted to do, but there's lots of different areas that you could work in as having a Master's in Library and Information Sciences. You could even go more technology than anything. So lots of different options there, but I just kept mine general. Okay, what criteria do you use to rate books? I don't know that I've ever talked about this. My criteria based on when I read a book is mainly how I feel. Did I enjoy the reading experience? Did I like the book? Did I like the storyline? I don't have to like the characters to enjoy a book if it has a strong storyline. I'm more of a plot-driven reader in general, but I can also enjoy a book that doesn't have a plot if it has really good characters. So, but for the most part, it's probably why I like fantasy so much, is because I'm much more plot-driven. It's literally just how I feel. Like, was that a 5-star? I enjoyed every second of this book. It was so good. I'm going to talk about it. Recommend it all the time, that type of thing. That is like a 5-star book for me. Or was it just kind of the middle of the road? I enjoyed it when I was reading it, but it didn't keep me interested the entire time. So it's literally just my feelings. It's nothing. I don't think about it too much, I guess you could say. Like when I'm done with it, I can pretty much know what I'm going to give it by the time I finish. So it's just all my feelings. Because that's just what my reading is. So that's my criteria. Very basic. Okay. How has moving so often affected your reading? That's interesting. I guess the moving hasn't affected my reading necessarily. It definitely causes a dip in how much I'm reading while we're in the moving process, because leading up to moving, you have a lot of prep to do. We choose to do a lot of prep. So, it's a little bit more stressful. I'm a lot more busy when we're leading up to moving, and then the actual process of moving, all my books get packed up besides what I set aside that I want to take with me while we're traveling and stuff. And then afterwards, when we get our stuff and we're settling in, it takes a while to unpack your house, right? So like, that's what most of my time is. That's when audiobooks come in for me. But yeah, so I don't think it's necessarily affected my reading that much, to be honest. It does create a little bit of a lull as far as how many books I'm reading in those couple of months that we're in transition, but that's to be expected. So yeah. So I don't think it really affects me all that much. Okay, how did you meet your husband? Aww, so romantic. We met at a frat party. Yep. He actually got a ride to the party with my roommate. And then I saw her there, and he was with her, but like it wasn't a date type thing. They were just friends. They've been friends for a while. He just bummed a ride with her to the party, and then we ended up talking all night and never stopped. So that's how we met. So my roommate, Diane, still takes credit for our marriage, which I don't blame her. That's fine. She can have that credit. But yeah, and it was a Halloween themed party, and I was dressed as a backup dancer for a Limp Bizkit video. So there's that. And he still wanted to talk to me. So yeah, okay. That's how we met. Frat party, literally. Good old college days. Okay. What things have changed for you as a reader over time, and what has stayed the same? I think what has changed definitely is kind of the genres I'm reading. I'm much more attuned now to what I like and what I would gravitate towards versus, a while ago, I didn't really have any direction on what I think I would have liked reading. I just kind of was all over the place. But now I've kind of honed in on, I really, really like fantasy and I really, really like mystery thrillers. So yeah, but I'm still even more like I'm wanting to get into more some literary fiction now. So yeah. So that has definitely changed. What has stayed the same is my desire to read, for sure. That has stayed consistent. And the enjoyment that I get from reading, and the enjoyment that I get from talking about books and sharing them and buying them. And all that, and just being willing to try new things. And so that has stayed the same. Okay, how much time do you read daily? Do you read mostly physical or audio? So that's a hard question because daily changes for me. Like yesterday, I didn't really read anything. And today I've already sat down and read like 40 pages of my book. So it just depends on the day and what's going on. If I have a busy day, not a whole lot of reading can get done. If I don't have a busy day, I'm more able to sit down and read. I do a mix of physical and audio for sure. Right now, I'm not listening to anything, and I don't have any plans to until next week. But it depends on what I'm doing. Sometimes I can be busy, but I could still listen to an audiobook. Like if I have laundry to fold or things to clean, things like that, then I can listen to an audiobook while I do that. But then there are times where I'm busy where I can't listen to anything because I need my brain to do other things. So it just changes daily based on what I have going on for that day. Like literally it's a day-to-day thing for reading with me. So yeah, but it's definitely something that I have to think about and I have to make a priority when it's time for me. Like when I sit down, am I scrolling YouTube or am I reading? I have to make that choice. So, but it depends on the day. Okay. Have you thought about ranking your top 10 books over the last 10 years? Okay. Now, I prepared for this one a little bit. I was like, ooh. So I think I'm taking this the correct way. I think I'm taking this as, I just went through and looked at my number one books, like my favorite books for the past 10 years for every year. And like I had number ones for every one of them. So I think like, do I rank those, all my number ones from the last 10 years? That's how I'm taking it. So that's what I did. I wrote them out. I have not ranked them yet. We're going to do that together. I need to find a pen, or it could mean just your favorite, like, I can't do that. If it's like all the books I read over the last 10 years, I cannot even fathom going through all of those and trying to pick my top 10. There's no way. That's going to be way too many. But I did write down all my number ones for the last 10 years. Even though we didn't go through 2024, I still wrote that one down. That one was All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. But let me get a pen and we're going to rank them together. Okay. Now, my top 10 books from the last 10 years are Fourth Wing, The Last Housewife, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, The Dream Daughter, Beartown, Pretty Girls, The Nightingale, Redeeming Love, To Kill a Mockingbird, and All the Colors of the Dark. Those are, I'm going to get my book here so I can have something to write on. Okay. Now, right away, I have 2 books that are in my top 3. So those have to go 1 and 2, right? So number 1 would be To Kill a Mockingbird, because that's my number 2 of all time, right behind Harry Potter. Number 3 is The Nightingale. Those are my top 3 books of all time, and they are pretty locked. I know Redeeming Love is going to be the last one because I don't know that I would consider that a favorite anymore. So number 1 and number 2 there. Let's see. Number 3, after The Nightingale, honestly, I feel like I would put Fourth Wing at number 3. Okay. Number 4. Oh gosh, this is hard. These are good books. Okay. The Last Housewife was such an experience for me. Reading that book, I still remember the way I felt when I read that. Addie LaRue, I was just obsessed with. Beartown is incredible. I want to reread it. Pretty Girls, I still remember scenes from that book. And that really got me definitely more into the darker stuff too. And made Karen Slaughter like a autobiographer for me. And All the Colors of the Dark was amazing. Okay. Number 4. I don't know. Okay. Number 4, we'll do, shoot. I'm looking at The Last Housewife or Beartown for number 4. Shoot. Okay. Beartown, 4. 5 is Last Housewife. 6 is Addie LaRue. 7 is Pretty Girls. 8 is All the Colors of the Dark. 9 is The Dream Daughter. And 10 is Redeeming Love. Do I agree with myself? All right. So in order, my last 10 years of my number 1 favorite books are ranked as, in order, To Kill a Mockingbird, The Nightingale, Fourth Wing, Beartown, The Last Housewife, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, Pretty Girls, All the Colors of the Dark, The Dream Daughter, and Redeeming Love. Okay, I said what I said. What is going off? Okay. My watch is going off. It's Kaylin. I need to see what's going on. Oh. Okay, she's funny. So she's getting those phone calls about the toll. You know, like there's a whole scam going around about tolls being paid and all this stuff. My daughter doesn't even have a driver's license, but they're telling her that she has tolls that she has to pay in Florida, where we don't live. She's like, they're not even doing their research, Mom. Like, yeah, they're stupid. Okay, almost done. What's a city you'd like to live in temporarily? And where would you like to retire? So I've already answered the retire thing. We're definitely going to retire in Florida. Where would I like to live temporarily? Our options with my husband's aircraft is so limited. So it's literally here or Florida. So But where would I like to live temporarily? Well, I will say like Rhode Island was amazing when we were up there. So that was really cool. I guess like I don't know. I want to say like West Coast, but we lived in California. Don't want to go back there. But maybe Oregon or Washington, even though I would not like the winters there. It would definitely be different and, something new. I've never lived, in the Pacific Northwest. So I guess that would be kind of cool temporarily. So we'll say that. What genre could you read for the rest of your life if you could only choose one? Oh, every booktuber's most feared question. Well, I would choose fantasy because number one, you're going to get all the series. So it's going to keep me busy for a very long time. Number two, you can have subgenres in fantasy. You can have mysteries in there. You can have romances in there. You can have hard-hitting topics thrown in as well into a fantasy world. You can have magical realism is technically considered fantasy. And that's more real world stuff, but like there's magical stuff happening. So it's not necessarily contemporary. Romantasy is all the rage, obviously. And you can go historical as well. You can have it set during time periods that feel like real world. So I'm going to say fantasy if I had to pick one. Okay, how would you describe your parenting style? Probably different than my kids would describe it. Okay. Oh, this is hard because my kids are older now, so it's a little bit different. I guess when our kids were young, well, here's the thing. My husband and I have a parenting style that we both do. Like that's something that we agreed on. We parent the same way. We were a united front on that. So that was important for them to know. I would say over the years, and especially now, I'm a little bit more relaxed than my husband is. But still, if he feels very strongly about something, I will back him up always. So I guess when they were littler, we were definitely, making sure that they were respectful and that they treated not only us with respect and other adults with respect, but they treated each other with respect. They bicker like they're human beings, but for the most part, they're friends. And that was something that was important to us. We wanted them to be close. And so we made sure that when they spoke to each other, that they were respectful. And if they ever got out of line, they would get punished, and talk to you about why it's important to be respectful to your sister. So that was one kind of thing. And we just wanted to make sure that they were good humans. I don't know. It's really hard to describe a parenting style, I think. We just wanted to raise them to be kind people and to treat other people with respect. Even if you are around people you don't like or you disagree with, you still have to be respectful and kind. And I think that has stuck. So Kaylin is definitely my more sarcastic, cynical one. So she keeps all her inside thoughts inside. And that's something we've had to teach her. So Layla's a little bit more, she keeps stuff inside without us having to tell her, basically, is what Layla is. So that's kind of funny. So yeah, I don't know. I guess since my kids are teenagers now, I'm a little bit more relaxed. My husband's a little bit more relaxed too, but there's still some things that I'm a little bit more easy on them than he is. But I guess I could talk about parent philosophies, which my husband came up with. He was like, respect, school, and boys was his three, like, I care about these things. You're going to be respectful to people. So he calls it behavior, I guess. So behavior, school, and boys. School is a priority and you need to make it a priority. And if you start slipping, you're going to get in trouble. And then boys, like, no dating until you're whatever. And then like all the boy rules and stuff. We haven't gotten there yet, but, yeah, Layla's going to be the one who has boyfriends. Kaylin does not want to have anything to do with anybody. So there's that. Haven't had to worry about that with her yet, but Layla's going to be the one who's going to have boyfriends soon, I think. Ugh. Okay. Do you have an ultimate goal for your home library? Yeah, I guess so. When we have our forever home, whenever we retire and move to our forever home and we're not moving anymore, I am going to have a library to myself. It is going to be like, built-in bookshelves, hopefully, or, we'll have to figure all that out. But I do want to have just, all of my walls full of books. And I do want to have a Harry Potter specific bookshelf area with not only the books, but all my decorations. And it's going to be very Harry Potter themed for sure. So, and I want like a nice big comfy chair where like I want it to be a place where I would sit and read for a while. So, yeah, eventually I will have that. Do you collect anything other than books? Yes. Well, I'm starting to collect. I would like to collect all of the Stray Kids albums. Now, K-pop albums are interesting. They have different versions, and they come with like booklets with, photo shoots from all the members, and there's different looks for different albums, and it'll be like this version has this set of photos and this version has this set of photos, and they're completely different. And there's photo cards in them, and they're all different, and you collect the photo cards. Yeah, it's a whole thing. I don't need all that. I just want one version of each Stray Kid album. And that's it. Like, I don't need 3 versions of the same album, just one version. And I would like to have one of each album of theirs. So I'm starting to collect that now. I just kind of decided that actually over the last couple of months. I was like, I think I want this. I think I want a little like Stray Kids, shelf with their albums and stuff, because I genuinely love their music. So I do have their newest one already on my shelf, and I have a Hyunjin version of one as well. So I don't have the original one of that one. It's a Hyunjin version, which is they're smaller and it's just him. So if there's any of those just for Hyunjin, I'm going to get those too. But other than that, so I'm starting to collect now. I'm not like actively seeking out anything quite yet, but eventually I would like to have one of each of their albums. So, but we're going to go see them in Dallas in June, and there is a K-pop store there that we are definitely going to go to in the mall. That is amazing. And I'll definitely pick up 1 or 2 albums there because they have some older stuff. So that kind of thing. So I'm just going to start collecting those. So it's fine. Moving on. Okay. Who inspired you to read? Do your parents or siblings read? Okay. My mom inspired me to read for sure. She was always reading, still does. My mom reads even more than I do sometimes. But so my mom reads. My dad does read. But again, when he was working and stuff, not as much. He's reading a little bit more now that he's retired. He likes sci-fi. That's his favorite. And my mom reads a little bit of everything, kind of like me. And then I do have a younger sister. She does read as well. So yeah. Yeah, so I guess we all read. Yep. If you could read any book again for the first time, what would you choose and why? If I could read any book again for the first time, what would I choose and why? I guess it would be Harry Potter, like the first Harry Potter book. I remember reading that first book and going, oh my God, like, what is this? And I got the box set from my mom for Christmas one year. So the first 3 were already out. And I remember going to a release party for book 4. So I didn't start reading them till after the first 3 were out. And I was like, oh yeah, I've heard of these. Cool. Thanks, Mom. And here we are. So yeah. So I would say Harry Potter. I would read the first Harry Potter book again for the first time. And I just remember how magical it was. And I could not put it down. I just, it's so good. And love. Okay. And what countries or states, countries/states have you lived in? This is the last question. What countries and states have I lived in? Are we going to, okay, I guess we can go my whole life because my dad was, again, he was in the Air Force as well. I was born in the Netherlands, and, oh gosh, let me think where we moved. We moved to, okay, so this is under my dad. So Netherlands, Florida, And then we went back to the Netherlands again. No, Germany, and then the Netherlands again. So we lived in the Netherlands twice. Virginia, Alabama, Oklahoma, back to Virginia. And then my dad retired, Florida. So that was kind of our trajectory under my dad. With my husband, we got married in Florida, and then we moved to California. From there, we moved to San Antonio, Texas, and then we moved to Tucson, Arizona, and then we lived here in Clovis, New Mexico. And then from there, we went back to Florida for 2 years, and then Rhode Island, and then Virginia, and now back to Clovis. So we are on our 8th place, well, 7th place we lived since we lived here twice, but like 8th move here. Yeah, so that's everywhere that we have kind of bebopped around with both my dad and my husband. So yeah, after this, we don't know. We don't know what's going to be coming up next. It's too early to tell. My husband is about to start his new position in May. So that's coming up very soon, actually. And he's going to be a commander, which is terrifying and also amazing. So that's happening. He will do that for 2 years. And we just don't know where they're going to send him after this. It just depends on what is available and what the timing is and where they need him and all that stuff. So no clue what's going to happen after this, but we still probably have a good 7-8 years left before he retires. So, all right. That is it. That's my Q&A. Whew, that was a lot. You guys, thank you for asking really great questions. And I like that there was a variety. It wasn't just reading. It was other stuff too. So thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any other questions that you want me to answer, let me know down below and I'll answer them. I'll comment back. And yeah, thank you guys for being here. Some of you have actually been here for 10 years. And those of you who have found me over the last 10 years, thank you for being here and for your support and sticking around. And I really, really appreciate it. It has been amazing and I'm excited to keep going. So, all right, I will see you guys again soon. Hope you have a great day. Bye.